I'm sure you remember growing up as a Jehovah's Witness being told that the good that you do never negates the sin. Some of us, when we would do something wrong, we would ramp up our spirituality, likely because we felt so guilty because the religion conditions you to become this toxic level of guilty inside of yourself. So now you need to have all these good actions to balance out the guilt and the terrible feeling that you have about yourself for being the worst person ever for doing something sinful. But at the end of the day, it didn't matter, because if you didn't confess it, that guilt would just be constantly over your head like a cloud. So you would have to confess and be forgiven, and then you could start doing good actions again after you receive your consequences, after you receive some discipline or counsel or whatever. Now, why do I bring that up? Well, I'm keeping myself abreast with what's going on in the Jehovah's Witness organization by sometimes watching the content, and I watched 2 of the governing body updates. And I've noticed how these governing body updates are really just self-glorification videos. Videos where they pat themselves on the back for doing all this good. Here's where your donations are going. They're helping those in need, especially those in Africa and South America. It's always those in Africa and South America. We're helping people going through natural disaster, but particularly their spiritual health. Even though they've lost everything monetarily, they still have the organization and all this love, and they still have their invisible Father in the heavens. Thanks to your donations, we can give them a few items, maybe even rebuild their house, which, yes, that's nice. Oh, hey, look, we're helping people to learn how to read so that they can expand the cult and help people to become Bible students. Oh, yeah, that's all fine and dandy, helping people to learn how to read so that they can expand your cult. But none of your good deeds negate the bad, right? Like you always told us. When you hide pedophiles, when you cause people to commit suicide from your shunning practice, when you hide where donations actually go, when you constantly flip-flop rules and call it new light, all of that is bad. And you won't even acknowledge it. You would force us to not only acknowledge our sins to ourselves and to others, but to confess, to fess up. You won't even acknowledge the bad that you do because you're just an imperfect organization led by a perfect God. Why would you have to acknowledge any bad you do? Because you really can't do bad. You can't do wrong. It's not like you're changing things left and right, meaning you were doing wrong. But I just thought that was funny, how they have to glorify themselves and pat themselves on the back in all these governing body updates. They have to have the members of the cult see all the good that they're doing, and they have to give the members of the cult credit because it's their donations that are allowing all these things to happen, these new facilities to be built, natural disaster recovery and relief. But of course, they're not going to mention how some of those donations are going towards paying for lawsuits, settlements in court, when people who are assaulted and have evidence put it in the court and the witnesses lose. Can't mention that. Can't mention how they're being sued in Europe for the disfellowshipping practice and for minors losing their lives. You can't counteract all the harm that you've caused with a bunch of good deeds and not acknowledging the sin. That's what you told us.